Alright, what's poppin', people? We're back, and today, got another NUPL coverage video. This time of Kushalis, aka Clutchalis, aka Why Am I Looking at Whirlpool Snorlax Getting Used, versus On Arceus, aka On God, aka the freshest player in the meta, aka the skeleton appears. If you know, you know. Anyhow, a little brief coverage of both the teams real quick, right? So Kushalis has a team that I like to describe as never bring to the ladder, because it just loses to everything. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're on the ladder, you literally have to expect to match up against literally any wall breaker that is allowed to be used. Any one of them at all. You could run into a lot. Even the wall breakers that you wouldn't normally think to be too good. The ladder doesn't care. The ladder uses them, right? And that's why I think when you're on ladder, you are best off running either just really aggressive offense that can deny those wall breakers opportunities to break, especially the slower ones, right? Or some of the just most bog standard wish balance builds that are able to compress a whole bunch of defensive utility into that one just team. You know, they're trying to find multiple mons that compress a lot of defensive profiles into one slot. And that ends up being the most successful because it can cover for a lot of that. Kushalis' team can't. There's no steel type. The ground type is a Golurk. You know, in tournament play, this kind of team works though. Because it's looking more for just, okay, what's my opponent's style? What are some trends I notice? And then you look to counteract them. And on Arceus' team is kind of similar, where I'm just like, there's no steel type, how do we beat Drampa? Well, I mean, yes, but also, I meant Dragalge. The answer would just be hope it doesn't get too many turns to come in, and you have specially defensive Scrafty to also take some hits. And it ends up being Choppleberry this game too, so just an example of how that could end up manifesting. But before we get into this, I gotta make sure to give a thanks to Vachita again. I forgot to pull up the page, the super thanks, but he did in fact donate again on, when this video gets uploaded, it'll be 2 days ago. And hey, I appreciate you, man. As always, none of y'all ever have to donate, but if you do, it does help a lot. Potentially can go towards me getting an actual mic. I've been getting a couple more comments about this. So, we'll consider going forward. Anyhow, let's get into this. So we're going to see Golurk versus Entity Lead. Now, in theory, Kushalis has no reason to stay in. He also doesn't really have a switch in other than the Snorlax. And so, on Arceus is going to predict that because, hey, Muds is going to check the Snorlax. He can use that as an opportunity to set Stealth Rock. And Kush just throws off an Earthquake, predicting that to be really obvious. And we're going to see Imprison. Now, this is a really cool set. It's been talked about a little bit. Doesn't get a lot of use because it means you're... Again, there's quite an opportunity cost to using Golurk on your team because of, well, yeah, it's going to be your ground type. Doesn't really do a lot that you want a ground type to do. But the idea is, and we're going to see it when he goes for Toxic here, though, you can lock Mudsdale out of having... He goes for Toxic the next turn. Anyhow, you lock Mudsdale out of having any way to actually deal damage to you, and so you just sit in front of it. You know, you imprison it, and then you Toxic it, and it's always forced out. So it's just a really cool way to punish an otherwise, you know, great counter to you. And throughout all of this too, we're seeing the Golurk even take a +2 Fire Blast from the Drampa. It's KO'd the Drampa now as well. Kush never got his own Stealth Rock up here. Because he's obviously not Stealth Rock on this. But assuming Duraludon has rocks, I mean, maybe he could get rocks up on like a forced switch? I don't know. It's actually kind of hard if you're trying to ever, as Kush, get Stealth Rock up for your own side. All the mods on his team kind of beat you. So, let's see. Will the rocks actually end up mattering? My guess is no. We see the Starmie ends up being boots. You know Talon's boots. These top three here, Golurk, Duraludon, Toxicroak, all resist Stealth Rock damage. It's really only Snorlax. So it's not really that pressing of an issue. Anyhow, here's one of the things I meant, by the way, by Kushalis' team lacking a lot of that maybe defensive cohesion you'd like, there's no steel type. And so our switch into Expanding Force ends up being a Starmie, which actually takes the hit really well. We could assume max HP, maybe some special defense as well. And he's going to be at an easy port into his Croak here. Now, Croak looks incredible at this point, especially as we see it get a knockoff crit. I don't envision it to be low kick if we're seeing knockoff. Normally, that ends up signifying... It doesn't have to, but normally it signifies it's like maybe 4 attacks. It could be just knockoff over Sucker Punch, but I think at that point, if you run knockoff on Swords Dance sets, you just go with Drain Punch instead of low kick, because you can knock the Mudsdale and then just easily chip it down over the course of the game. You don't really need that extra oomph of a potential OHKO at +2 with Croak. And of course the crit will expedite the process, and Starmie can come in again here. On Arceus doesn't really want to sack the Mudsdale too early, especially since Indeedee could still be Healing Wish. And we're going to see Scrafty go for a bulk up here, and we are going to see here the Choppleberry. And unfortunately for On Arceus, it does not matter. This Pokemon is not going to be able to stall out Croak forever. You know, bulk up means bulk up rested and your stab moves. So Croak is unfortunately going to be able to just outlast you. He would have needed to get like a couple boosts before the Croak got in, I think. Anyhow, that last crit doesn't really matter. Again, it's a matter of expediting the process. And now the Golurk comes out, because not needed at this point to do anything really. Just it doesn't break. Well, I guess it could still break, but it doesn't outspeed much, so it's not too necessarily. And we are going to see the Starmie actually ability to have Ice Beam. So that's interesting. It's a good way to deter Alola. Again, we're looking at a team that no steel type, and Alola doesn't really care about steals, but hey. Now we're going to see Snorlax come out, and the Snorlax going to start throwing off body slams. With the Mudsdale being as weakened as it is, no leftovers either, Snorlax is in a really good position to start just throwing off body slams, start kind of wall breaking for Kushalos' endgame. This could even be Curselax. It's not, as we see, Protect, but it could have been Curselax and also still been incredibly potent at this point. And we do get the reveal Indeedee's Trick, which should mean that it's not going to be Healing Wish, so this Mudsdale is staying almost KO'd. And the Duraludon will finally get a chance to come out. Looking at Kushalos' team, I would guess it's Scarf. No way to confirm that, but I would assume Scarf. And we're going to see just how obese Snorlax is. So this is a +2 Salazzle. And this move just bounces off a Lax. And it's not Sash Salazzle. Good way of trying to discern that would be, since On Arceus' only removal / hazard prevention is that Xatu, Sash Salazzle isn't going to be very reliable. You can't really depend on Xatu, I don't feel, in this current meta to be a sole means of denying Stealth Rock from the opposition. And so when you see kind of porous hazard removal options on the opposing team, assume Lazzle's going to be Boots, usually. And Indeedee will come out. Now, all he really can do is hope for, like, a lot of Expanding Force crits to carry him through this game. As we see, he does not get that one. Lax will just throw off a Body Slam here. At this point, Kush is just going to try to stall out Psychic Terrain turns where he can, to eventually then pick this Mon off with, you know, Starmie. And yeah, apparently Ark was playing another game on this side. That's pretty wild. And yeah, the Indeedee finally goes down. Horus is going to come back out, and he'll just press Earthquake until he's KO'd by this lovely little Starmie here. And seeing that this wasn't even Rapid Spin, I think kind of just affirms some of the claims I made earlier about how, like, yeah, rocks don't really matter to Kush's team, and so I think he just decided, hey, why bother? I don't need to have spin on my Starmie either. I guess it could have been Defog Talonflame. I just think Defog Talonflame is horribly unviable and has no reason to ever be used, because you lose to every Stealth Rock setter. Even even Copperajah. You get rock slided and you die. But I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Kushalos keeps coming out with really cool stuff. This time it's the Imprisoned Golurk. Yeah, Mudsdale usage is super duper high. I feel like Rotom-Mow is probably the only Pokemon you'll see an Inu more than the horse. And if you can have a Mon that draws in horse and just means you get to shut it down for free while you're in the 1v1, of course, I think that's really cool. And that's going to be it for me for this one. I hope y'all enjoyed this course. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe if you aren't already subscribed so we can hit 5K by the end of the year. Or 10K. Or 20K even. The goal's 5, but, you know, why stop there? Yeah, man. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.